Oh, you thought nobody was watching? Sweetie, everybody is watching. And what they're whispering about you right now is so delicious I almost didn't want to share. Almost. But generosity is one of my many, many virtues. So here we are, you and me. And a little secret the whole world is already in on. Except you. See the chatter about you? It's not just spreading. It's metastasizing. Like a beautiful, beautiful infection. The kind that starts with one little cough in a crowded elevator and 3 days later the whole city's got a fever. People who have never shaken your hand, never shared your oxygen, are building entire conspiracy boards about who you are. Strings and thumbtacks. The whole aesthetic. And here's the part that's going to make your stomach do a little flip. Most of what they're saying, it's not what you think. It's weirder, it's bigger, and some of it is going to hit you like a bus you didn't see coming because you were too busy jaywalking through your own life. So settle in, gorgeous, because we are going all the way down this rabbit hole today. And I promise you, there's no bottom. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. Which, yes, I know, coming from me, that's its own kind of punchline. But the noise around you is reaching a pitch only dogs and gossips can hear. It feels like a scandal is being stitched together. And honestly, it's exhausting. Truly, deeply, soul-crushingly exhausting. You've probably caught the murmurs, but let's dissect the truth they're burying under all that performance. They're painting a portrait of you using colors you've never even worn, and if you feel like you're pinned under a magnifying glass right now with the sun hitting just right, you are not alone in that particular burn. But here is where I need your full, undivided, beautiful attention before we go one step further. We're not just surviving this, we are conducting it. And to do that, you have to stop seeing yourself as the infection spreading out of control and start seeing yourself as the surgeon in the operating room. An infection is chaos. It eats everything it touches, fed by every dirty surface and unwashed hand it finds. But the surgeon? The surgeon doesn't run around the hospital slapping band-aids on every cough, doesn't chase symptoms. The surgeon cuts precisely, stays steady, and fixes what actually matters. Your truth is the only scalpel that cuts clean when the world gets this messy and melodramatic. This shift, from being the disease everyone's diagnosing to being the doctor who actually knows what's wrong, that's how you reclaim what's yours. Let me set the scene for you. Right now, somewhere, someone is sitting across from a friend. Maybe it's coffee, maybe it's tacos at 2 a.m., maybe it's just two people doom-scrolling in a parked car with nowhere particular to be. And your name floats up like smoke. Or maybe not your name exactly. Maybe it's just, you know that person I was telling you about. And then it begins. And the thing that's absolutely wild, the thing that keeps them tossing and turning at 3 a.m, is that you might have zero clue. This is even happening. You might be out there living your life, minding your gorgeous business, completely oblivious that you're the main character in a conversation you never auditioned for. Isn't that just poetry? Because here is what I know about you. And I'm going to say this with enough clarity to leave a mark. You have never been easy to decode. Never. Not once. Even the people who've orbited you for years. They'll look you dead in the eye and admit there are rooms inside you they haven't found the keys to yet. You surprise people. You walk into a space and the temperature shifts. Not because you're trying. That's the part that makes people absolutely unhinged. You're doing it wrong. Let me show you the shortcut to success. 73 pages, a roadmap for those who refuse to stay down. The book is in the description or pinned comment of this Animus Morphosis' video. Anyway, back to the grind. It just happens. You carry something, a frequency, a voltage. Call it whatever lets you sleep at night. But people feel it. And when people feel something they can't file away neatly in their little mental cabinets, they talk. Oh, darling, they talk. And here is where things get spicy. Because the rumors, and I really truly need you to hear this, the rumors are not just spreading, they are mutating. Every time the story hops from one mouth to the next, it picks up a new limb. A detail here, a theory there, a wild speculation that sounds like fan fiction, but hits uncomfortably close to the source material. Some people are saying things about you so far from reality, it's genuinely comedic. And some people are saying things so surgically accurate it should make the hair on your arms stand up. Like they somehow hacked into a version of you that only exists at 2 a.m. when the mask comes off. And you're just you. How? How do they have that intel? That's what we're peeling back today, because the universe has been practically screaming about this. And I am not in the business of whispering when the cosmos is using a megaphone. The first thing, and this one hit different when it landed, is that people think you are different. Not different as in defective. Different as in rare. Like the kind of different that makes people lean in and lower their volume when your name enters the chat. Not because they're being shady, but because they're being reverent. They don't have the vocabulary for what you are, and that bothers them immensely. People like their labels. People like to look at someone and think, oh yeah, I've clocked that archetype before. I know exactly how this movie ends. But with you, they can't do that. Every single time, they think they've pinned you to the board. You do something, say something, choose something, survive something that rips up the entire case file. And so the story keeps shifting. The rumors keep mutating. Because you keep becoming someone they didn't forecast. And honestly, that level of unpredictability is low-key iconic. And I want to pause here for a beat because I need you to feel this in your bones. There are people in your life, people who maybe drifted, people you haven't exchanged a single word with in months, maybe years, who are still talking about you. Not because they're obsessed, not because they're bored, but because you left a scar. And I mean that in the most beautiful way a scar can exist. You left a mark so specific, so textured, that it didn't soften the way they expected. You know how sometimes you meet someone and after a while the memory of them goes blurry, goes generic, gets easy to tuck into a drawer and forget. That didn't happen with you. You stayed vivid, specific, like they can still hear the exact pitch of something you said that one time. Like they can still feel the vacuum in the room after you walked out of it. That doesn't happen by accident, love. That is the fingerprint of someone who is genuinely, deeply unforgettable. Now, let's talk about what people are really saying, because some of this is going to be a lot. Let's rip the bandage off cleanly, shall we? I see you, I hear you, and I know exactly how much this stings. The internet adores a villain, but they are catastrophically unprepared for your version of events. Here's the thing, though. People only throw rocks at trees that are heavy with fruit. I'm going to let that sit. The reason you're catching heat is because you are producing something in your life that other people cannot replicate, no matter how many times they screenshot your routine or reverse engineer your habits. There is a very specific cluster of people, and you already feel who they are, even if you haven't given them names yet, who are talking about how you survived. And I don't mean survived in some casual #blessed gratitude journal kind of way. I mean they are out here in actual conversations, voices dropping to a hush, saying things like, "I genuinely do not understand how they're still standing." Because they know what you walked through. Maybe not the full blueprint. You never gave anyone the full blueprint. But they know enough. And they know about that thing. The thing that, if it had happened to most people would have folded permanently. Maybe it was a relationship that extracted more from you than you had in the account. Maybe it was a loss so specific and so savage that even now, on certain days, the gravity of it still finds you, like it has your coordinates memorized. Maybe it was a moment of complete structural collapse where everything you'd built just crumbled, and you were standing in the wreckage, thinking, okay, now what? And you rebuilt. You rebuilt without instructions. You rebuilt while the very people who detonated the foundation were still circling, still spectating, some of them placing quiet bets on your failure. And you made it. And they cannot stop talking about it. Someone is saying, and I'm hearing this with crystal clarity right now, I would not have survived that. Someone is sitting somewhere replaying your timeline, and they are in genuine awe. Not the Instagram story, clapping emoji kind of awe. The quiet kind. The kind where you have to sit with it for a full minute before you can even form words, because you're still buffering on how it's even humanly possible. That's the awe circling you right now. It just needs to stay steady. When the hemorrhage of gossip tries to bleed into your identity, you don't collapse on the table. You cauterize, you heal, you keep cutting clean. This isn't just about rumors. It's about reclaiming your operating room, the power to define yourself. Full stop, period, end of sentence. But here's where it gets tangled. And this is the part where I genuinely need you to stay locked in with me. Because not everyone discussing you is discussing you with admiration, and I'm not going to wrap that in silk for you. There is someone, maybe more than one someone, who is decidedly not in your fan club, who looks at you and feels something uncomfortable bubbling up from a place they haven't had the courage to excavate. And instead of doing the actual work, they talk, they project, they take that discomfort and gift wrap it as a story about you, then hand it to the nearest willing audience. You know the type. They can't quite articulate why you bother them. They just do. Something about the way you carry yourself gets under their skin like a splinter they can't reach. Something about the way you've healed, the way you've stepped fully into yourself, the fact that you stopped shrinking for people who never deserved your full size. All of that is like a diagnostic scan they do not want to read. And so they talk, they spin, they try to corrupt the results so they don't have to face what the data is actually showing them. Here's the part that is genuinely unhinged. Ready? The people they're telling all this to, they're not buying it. Like, they're sitting there listening to someone try to demolish you, and instead of walking away thinking less of you, they're walking away thinking, this person actually sounds kind of legendary. Because the story of you, even filtered through someone who actively resents you, still reads like the origin story of someone remarkable. That is how powerful your narrative is. Even your haters are accidentally your hype team. Even the people trying to dim your wattage are inadvertently spreading your light to rooms that never had it. And I need you to let that land. Really let it sink in. Now there is one rumor that I keep circling back to. One thing I keep hearing that sits different than the rest. And it's this. People think you have some kind of ability to read them. Like deeply read them. Like you can walk into a room, have one conversation, and walk out knowing things about someone that they didn't consciously volunteer. And people are genuinely shook by this. There is someone, maybe a few someones, who have spent time with you and walked away, feeling like they accidentally handed over classified documents, like they revealed intel they had no intention of declassifying, not because you interrogated them, not because you pried, but because something about your presence made the vault door swing open before they even realized the lock was off. And now, they're out here warning other people, be careful around them, they see through you. And they mean it as a caution, but here's the thing. To everyone hearing that warning, it sounds like an endorsement. It sounds like, this person is absolutely worth knowing. And that's the pattern with you, isn't it? Everything someone tries to weaponize against you ends up becoming Exhibit A in the case for why you're extraordinary. Your strength intimidates someone. Exhibit A, your intuition unsettles someone. Exhibit A, your ability to heal when they fully expected you to stay shattered. Exhibit A, every single thing they bring to court as their prosecution just ends up building the defense for why you are not someone to underestimate. Ever. Not even once. Let me tell you something I want you to carry with you long after this is over. There are people who have watched your life, from close range, from the nosebleed seats, some from vantage points they were never supposed to have, and they have clocked things in you that you haven't fully clocked in yourself yet. Let me unpack that. Gifts you haven't unwrapped. Strength you've normalized because you've had to deploy it so frequently, it just feels like breathing now. But it is not normal. What you carry is not standard issue. The way you move through devastation and come out the other side still warm, still open, still willing to place a bet on something good happening. That is not a skill most people possess. And the people watching, they know. They are out there right now telling each other, there is something about this person, I can't name it, but they are going somewhere. And they are absolutely, categorically correct. You are going somewhere. The best chapters, and I mean this with every chaotic fiber of my being, the best chapters of your story haven't even been drafted yet. And people can sense that. That's why they can't log off you. That's why your name keeps trending in private conversations. There is also this, your glow up. Yeah. And I don't just mean the external, although yes, people are very much clocking that too. Trust. I mean the internal renovation, the one that started in the pitch black when 0 people were watching. When you were just quietly doing the unglamorous, unsexy work of becoming. People who knew the before version and see the now version, or who've heard the comparison from someone who knew both. They're doing a double take in the best possible way. Like, who is you? Who is this person? Not because you've become unrecognizable, but because you've become so fully, unapologetically, yourself that it looks like metamorphosis. A whole phoenix from the rubble situation. And someone who thought they had your ceiling mapped. Who was absolutely certain they knew your upper limit. They're currently realizing they never even located your foundation. You have exceeded every low expectation anyone ever dared to place on you. And then you just kept going. Now here's what ties every single thread of this together. The thing that makes all these rumors make sense. And I want you to hear this with absolute clarity. People talk about what they cannot stop thinking about. That's it. That's the whole diagnosis. You are occupying premium real estate in the minds of people who never paid the deposit. And the reason you're there is because you did something to them. You showed them something. You cracked something open in them just by existing in their proximity. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was discomfort. Maybe it was that specific, exquisite cocktail of, I want what they have, and I'm not entirely sure I have the nerve to go chase it. Whatever it was, you left a scar that healed into something they can't stop tracing. And now the stories are spreading. And now the rumors are delightfully out of control. And now people who have never even had a real conversation with you have constructed entire documentaries in their heads about who you are. And most of it is true. Not the distorted parts. Not the parts that got bent because someone needed to make themselves feel taller by making you sound smaller. But the core of it. The part about your strength, your depth, your ability to read a room like it's written in a language only you speak, your survival, your glow, that absolutely radiant glow, your gifts, the way you inspire people without even clocking that you're doing it. All of that? True. 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 More true than even you allow yourself to believe on the days when the light feels dim. So here is what I want you to take from this. Stay with me, because what I'm about to say will permanently rewire how you see this whole beautiful mess. The rumor gets louder, the infection spreads further, and maybe, just maybe, somewhere along the way, someone who needed to believe that surviving was possible, that healing was real, that starting over could actually work, that the dark chapter was not the final chapter. They are going to hear about you. They're going to catch one of these rumors on the wind, and it is going to change something fundamental inside them. You already have. More times than you know, more lives than you've counted, more rooms than you were even physically present in. That's why they're talking. That's the real scandal. Not that there's something wrong with you, but that there is something so undeniably, uncomplicatedly right about you, that the world simply cannot keep it quiet. The rumors are spreading, and every single one of them is evidence of how much space you occupy in this world. Not because you demanded it, because you earned it. So let the fever run its course. Let the whispers multiply. You are the surgeon, and the surgeon always finishes the operation. The steady hand always wins. Precision always wins.